We are ready now to listen to the words of the Holy Gospel, the good news of Jesus. Please stand and join me in the Gospel acclamation.
The Lord be with you. And with your spirit. A reading from the Holy Gospel according to John. Glory to you, Lord. There was a certain man named Lazarus who was sick. He was from Bethany, the village of Mary and her sister Martha. This Mary, whose brother Lazarus was sick, was the one who anointed the Lord with perfume and dried his feet with her hair. The sisters sent word to Jesus to inform him, "Lord, the one you love is sick." Upon hearing this, Jesus said,
"This sickness is not to end in death. Rather, it is for God's glory, that through it the Son of God may be glorified."
Jesus loved Martha and her sister, and Lazarus very much. Yet, after hearing that Lazarus was sick, he stayed on where he was for 2 more days. Finally, he said to his disciples,
"Let us go back to Judea."
"Rabbi," protested the disciples, "with the Jews only recently trying to stone you, you are going back up there again?"
Jesus answered,
"Are there not 12 hours of daylight? If a person goes walking by day, he does not stumble because he sees the world bathed in light. But if he goes walking at night, he will stumble, since there is no light in him."
After uttering these words, he added,
"Our beloved Lazarus has fallen asleep, but I am going there to wake him."
At this, the disciples objected.
"Lord, if he is asleep, his life will be saved."
Jesus had been speaking about his death, but they thought he meant sleep in the sense of slumber. Finally, Jesus said plainly,
"Lazarus is dead. For your sakes, I am glad that I was not there, that you may come to believe. In any event, let us go to him."
Then Thomas, the name means twin, said to his fellow disciples,
"Let us go along to die with him."
When Jesus arrived at Bethany, he found that Lazarus had already been in the tomb for 4 days. The village was not far from Jerusalem, just under 2, and many Jews people had come out to console Martha and Mary over their brother. When Martha heard that Jesus was coming, she went to meet him while Mary sat at home. Martha said to Jesus,
"Lord, if you had been here, my brother would never have died. Even now, I am sure that God will give you whatever you ask of him."
"Your brother will rise again," Martha replied, "in the resurrection of the last day."
Jesus told her,
"I am the resurrection and the life. Whoever believes in me, though he should die, will come to life. And whoever is alive and believes in me will never die."
"Yes, Lord," she replied, "I have come to believe that you are the Messiah, the Son of God, he who is to come into the world."
When she had said this, she went back and called her sister Mary.
"The teacher is here, asking for you," she whispered.
As soon as Mary heard this, she got up and started out in his direction. Actually, Jesus had not come yet into the village, but was still at the spot where Martha had met him. The Jews who were in the house with Mary, consoling her, saw her get up quickly and go out. So they followed her, thinking she was going to the tomb to weep there. When Mary came to the place where Jesus was, seeing him, she fell at his feet and said to him,
"Lord, if you had been here, my brother would never have died."
When Jesus saw her weeping, and the Jews who had accompanied her also weeping, he was troubled in spirit, moved by the deepest emotions.
"Where have you laid him?" he asked.
"Lord, come and see."
Jesus began to weep. which caused the Jews to remark, "See how much he loved him." But some said,
He opened the eyes of that blind man. Why could he not have done something to stop this man from dying?
Once again, troubled in spirit, Jesus approached the tomb. It was a cave with a stone laid across it.
"Take away the stone," Jesus directed.
Martha, the dead man's sister, said to him,
Lord, it has been 4 days now. Surely there will be a stench.
Jesus replied, "Did I not assure you that if you believed, you would see the glory of God displayed?"
Then they took away the stone, and Jesus looked up and said,
"Father, I thank you for having heard me. I know that you always hear me, but I have said this for the sake of the crowd, that they may believe that you sent me."
Having said this, he called loudly,
"Lazarus, come out."
The dead man came out, bound head and foot with linen strips, his face wrapped in a cloth.
"Untie him," Jesus told them, "and let him go free."
This caused many of the Jews who had come to visit Mary and had seen what Jesus did to put their faith in him. The Gospel of the Lord.
Praise to you, Lord Jesus Christ. Lazarus, move that stone and come out of that tomb. And Lazarus, who had been dead for 4 days, walked out of the tomb on his own. Spectacular. Can you imagine the look of amazement, especially on the faces of his 2 sisters, Martha and Mary? And yet, as spectacular as this was, this story is not primarily about Lazarus. It is about someone else. It is about someone who has power over death and the ability to give life to us while we are still trying here on earth. That man is Jesus. Now, for 3 weeks running, we have heard stories. The story about the woman at the well, the story about the man born blind, and now the story about Lazarus. But all of these stories are really about Jesus. We don't hear one more word about Lazarus in all the rest of the Gospels. We don't know how much longer he lived after coming forth from the tomb. We don't know what he did with the rest of his life. We don't know if he was able to share with people what it was like being dead for 4 days. These stories are about Jesus. 2 weeks ago, we heard about Jesus offering the woman at the well living waters, a story that should have reminded us of our baptism, of the graces we receive from our baptism, of the responsibilities we have because of our baptism. Last week we heard a story about Jesus giving sight to a man who had been born blind. Born blind. Jesus not only, however, in this story, gave physical sight to the man born blind, he gave insight, he gave spiritual sight as well to the Pharisees of the day and to us of today. And this weekend, we hear Jesus once again bringing back someone from the dead, bringing back Lazarus from the dead, and offering us everlasting life, offering us the possibility for establishing the kingdom of God right here on earth before we pass back to God. Now, lest you think that these stories, these pieces of the gospel, were chosen at random, that is not the case. They have something very strong that holds them together. They have something in common that all of us need to hear. And that word that I would use that shows how these three Gospels mesh, how they are related, is journey. It's all about the journey of the woman at the well in the life of Jesus. It's all about the man born blind on a journey, coming now to know Jesus. It's all about the journey of Lazarus coming back to life. It's all about their journey, and it's all about your journey and my journey as well. Because, think about it, we are the woman at the well. We are on our journey here, looking from day to day for those drips of the living water, the grace of God, the Spirit of God that sustains us on our journey. We are that man born blind on our journey, hopefully moving out of darkness and into the light constantly. We are Lazarus on our journey, facing the Lord, and by our choices turning away. Because God is so merciful, turning back, always on the journey. This is so important. We are all on the journey. It's important for us to think about the journey that we are on every day, step by step, on our way back to the kingdom of God, to God Himself. Think about your journey. Are you constant in it? And in this story of Lazarus today, it's not only what Jesus did, raising someone from the dead. It's what He said that should make our hearts explode in gratitude, that should make our minds just kind of baffled at what He promises. He said in this gospel to all of us, I am the resurrection and the life. I am the resurrection and the life. Whoever believes in me, even if he dies, shall live. And whoever lives and believes in me will never die. Think about it. Do you believe it? Do you believe that Jesus is the resurrection and the life? Offering this to you, to your heart, and to mine. How do we get our arms around all this? What Jesus has done for us and continues to do for us. Simply, we put ourselves in the place of Lazarus, and we move on our journey away from the darkness into the light. We leave behind all of our selfishness, all of our greediness, all of our avarice, all of our pride. You make the list for yourself. And we move into the light of God. We live in the light. We try to keep our sights on the kingdom, on moving back towards Jesus. Now, we all have a different idea about what the kingdom is, what heaven is going to be like. I heard a story, kind of a funny one, a while back, about two men who had their own vision and doubts about kingdom, actually. And these two men loved baseball. They loved the Yankees. They lived and breathed baseball. And so one day they were talking, and one said to the other, so what do you think? Do you think there's baseball in heaven? The other one said, I don't know. But listen, let's make a pact. Whoever gets to heaven first, somehow you will get back to the other one and let us know. Let me know. So the first man dies, he goes to heaven. About 2 weeks go by. And Job was left on earth, he hadn't heard a word. Finally, one night, he was asleep and he heard his friend's voice and he sat up in bed. He said, "Is that you?" He said, "Yeah, it's me. I'm in heaven. I got good news and I got bad news." He said, "What's the good news?" He said, "The good news is there is baseball in heaven. And we play every day, all day. And the competition is great." He said, "What's the bad news?" He said, "The bad news is you're listed to pitch next Tuesday." So in these last few days of Lent, I encourage you to contemplate, to give some thought to your journey. Ask the Lord to be with you. Walk that journey in light, because He will. He has promised to light our way so that we don't lose our direction. And when you find the journey troublesome and it makes you weary, then sing this. Precious Lord, take my hand, lead me on, let me stand. I'm weak, I am worn, I am tired. Through the storm, through the night, lead me on to the light. Take